Welcome to our first level of multiplication, level 0. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the vocabulary, or the different words you'll need to know to understand multiplication. Our first word is array. An array is a set of objects arranged in rows and columns. So these pentagons here are arranged in rows and columns, like so. And this is an array, an example of an array. Our next word is equal groups, groups that have the same number of objects. So here are our trains, and they're separated into two equal groups because they have the exact same number of trains in each group. Our next word is a factor. A factor is a number multiplied by another number to find the product. So the 4 and the 6, those are our factors. I'm multiplying 4 times 6 to get 24. So these are our factors. And the word multiply means to combine equal groups to find out how many in all. So looking back at our trains, we had 2 whole groups, and there were 3 objects in each group. So we have 2 whole groups. We're going to multiply that by 3, and we get 6. Or in all, we have 6 trains there. Our next word is product, and that is just a fancy way of saying the answer in a multiplication problem. So looking back at 4 times 6, our product is 24, or our answer is 24. So that is our product. The next thing are these things called properties, and they're just fancy ways of saying things about multiplication sentences. So our first property is the commutative property of multiplication, and that's a really big word, commutative, and it just means to multiply 2 factors in any order and you'll get the same exact product. So I could multiply 4 times 6 and I'll get 24, or I can multiply 6 times 4 and I still get 24. I can flip-flop these two and get the same answer. Or as we see here, they sometimes write it this way, that 4 times 6 is the same as 6 times 4. It's the same exact thing. You're just flip-flopping your factors there, or your numbers you're multiplying by. Our next property is called the identity property of multiplication. And I think of identity like identity is who you are. Like I'm Mrs. Walton, that's my identity, that's who I am. And identity property is the product of any number and 1 is that same number. So that just means that any number times 1 is that same number. So it keeps its same identity, or it doesn't change basically. So 4 times 1 is 4, or 1 times 87 is still 87, or I could do 200 times 1 and it's still going to be 200. It stays the exact same number. And then our last one is called the zero property of multiplication. And this one's easy because it tells you a hint in the title, zero property. So that just means the product of 0 and any number is always 0. Or when I multiply 0 times another number, I'm always going to get 0. 0 times 6 is 0. 98 times 0 is 0. 456 times 0 is going to be 0. Any number times 0 is going to be 0. Like a million times 0 is going to be 0. So these are the properties, just really long titles to say really simple things. Going back, you had the commutative. That just means you can switch numbers around and get the same answer. Identity means that it keeps the same identity. It stays the same whenever you multiply by 1. So it stays the same when you multiply by 1. And our zero property of multiplication is that anytime you multiply by 0, your answer is always going to be 0. Good luck on this level. Use this video. It has every answer you need to pass this level. Good luck.